Hey friend, welcome back to Canvassing Conversations. I'm Devin with Mind Over Mana, and today's spotlight interview is with Alyssa Snodgrass. In this episode, we talk about her journey as a full time artist, creating beautiful nature inspired acrylic paintings. Alyssa shares her goals of creating larger pieces for gallery exhibits, while also focusing on smaller works as a way to connect more personally with her audience. We dive into how art markets have played a big role in that, not just in selling her work, but in building real connections and getting to know the people who support her. We also talk about the realities of working full time as an artist and the many hats we wear as women running creative businesses. There are a lot of honest moments in this conversation, some laughs, some shared understanding, and a reminder that at the end of the day, we just want to create and find a little peace and happiness in doing what we love. So get comfy and come hang out with us. Hey, friends, welcome to another spotlight interview. I have Miss Alyssa here, and we're going to start just getting into this conversation. There's so much to talk about. So, Alyssa, how are you doing today?
Hi, Devin. I'm doing really well. I'm over here in California and it's supposed to be like 80 degrees next
Oh,
week.
oh,
So,
wow. And you know what's crazy is I am in Colorado, and normally we have snow all through January, February, and March, and we just got our first snow like a week ago. It's really scary. Like we are going to be in a major drought, I feel like, this summer cuz we haven't gotten any weather. And we're supposed to get, I think, snow at the end of the week, maybe the start of next week, and then it goes up to 80 degrees the same.
wow.
So I'm
Yeah.
like, that is not good.
It's been an
Like,
interesting year. Yeah. The weather
yeah.
has just been different. So,
Yes, yes, it has. And I've heard that there's some places that normally don't get snow that have been getting snow, so it's shifting, things are changing, so
we actually ended up getting snow this year for the first time
Oh,
in
really?
Chico in a very long time.
Yeah.
So,
Are you, like, more south or more north in California?
Northern California. Yeah.
Northern California, okay. But you never get snow? Like, are you more near
No.
the beach or the mountains?
No, and I know everybody thinks when you say California, we're right next to the beach, but we're about 3 hours away. We're in the valley, and so we don't generally get snow.
Oh,
I
okay.
think the last
Okay.
time we got snow was probably in the 80s,
Oh,
so
wow, so you got
yeah.
your first snow this year. See what I mean? Like, people are,
Yeah,
the weather's changing, it's weird.
it is. Yeah.
But, okay, so, introduce yourself a little bit, what kind of creative work that you do.
Well, so my name is Alyssa, and I I create acrylic art for the most part. I've been moving to smaller pieces lately to make art a little bit more affordable within my community. But my true passion lies in making big art, big
Yes.
acrylic pieces. Really, what I want to be doing. However, it has been very successful with the smaller art, so
Mhm.
I'm sort of trying to navigate doing both. I'm really enjoying it, so
Good, good, as long as you're enjoying it. I completely agree with the small versus large pieces because, like, last year I did the 100 watercolor pieces, and that was tiny, right? It's a, 2.5 by 3.5 card. So not a lot of surface to work with, but I've always enjoyed working really large. But part of it is also space, like just having the space to just lay out your large pieces. So
yeah.
working small sometimes at least accommodates that, but it's still like, man, if I could do a mural in every room of the house, I totally would.
Yeah.
And it's so fun to work in large quantities, a large space, large canvases. You normally do canvas, or is it like a panel, like a
It's
wood panel?
canvas, and what you were just talking about is exactly my issue. I just don't have a very big space, and
Yeah.
so right now I'm working in the garage with my larger acrylic pieces, but I don't have a whole lot of storage, and it's constantly a battle of I have no space to make what I really wanna make, so eventually I'd love to, have a studio.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah,
Every artist's dream.
yeah. So when it's cold, it's always a challenge. I get very, very cold.
Yes,
So
I do too.
I
Very
generally
easy.
don't work in the garage in the winter time, but
Yeah.
now that the weather's nicer, I sort of move out there and start working on my acrylics a little bit
Good.
more.
Okay. Well, I'm excited that it's getting warmer for you now then.
Yeah.
I felt the same way based off that post that I posted the other day of going to the park. I was like, I miss going to the park. It's not quite nice enough. I mean, it's still nice that we're not getting the weather or the precipitation, the snow and everything, but it's still not quite warm enough to just sit outside and create. So I'm like, if it gets just a little bit warmer, I'd be at the park like every day creating.
Yes. That's actually something on my list of things I'd love to do is do a little bit of plein air,
Yeah, it's
now
so
that I
much
have the
fun.
time.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
yeah.
But I love your little pieces. I know that it's a little bit different than what you're used to, but they look great. And I love the little frames because those just, I don't know, pull it all together. I can't wait to get one. I've been saving up. I'm like, I want one.
Oh, thanks, Devin.
I'm
Yeah,
like just
and
trying to decide which one I want. I'm like, wait, you just sent or posted like 5 new ones. And I'm like, I like this one too. Which one am I gonna choose?
yeah, so the local landscapes, that has been a huge hit, and people really seem to enjoy those, at the markets that I've been doing, and I really, really enjoy them, and I
Mhm.
would love to make some of them on a larger scale. I did sort of start to do that, but my issue with my larger acrylic pieces is that I really like to be a bit more experimental, so I'm at this weird place of like, well, I wanna do the realistic stuff, but I don't wanna lose the whimsical nature of, my
Yeah.
acrylic pieces, which is really how I feel like my style is more unique, I
Yeah.
think, on my larger
Yeah.
acrylic. So,
I absolutely love the layering that you do. It's something I haven't really seen a whole lot, and it definitely, like, makes it unique for sure. But I'm wondering, like and this is just thinking out loud here, but I've seen some artists, they do, like, thumbnails is what they call them, like, little pieces, and they'll just kind of experiment on them, and then if they like it, they'll turn it into a bigger piece. Have you ever done that?
yeah, so my other problem that I have is that I tend, even if I go really small, I get so hung up on details, and
Mhm.
I get really carried away no matter how hard I try
Yeah.
to be more loose and, I guess, abstract.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to, because I do get really hung up on just making it, just so, and but I think with the bigger pieces, it does allow me to be a little bit more free and experimental and fun.
I'm
So
so I'm so the same. 'Cause
you
even when it
understand.
even when it came to the watercolor, piece project that I had with those little cards, I was trying to be so, like,
Yeah.
meticulous, and I was like, "Loosen up, Dev." Like,
Yes. Yeah.
it's like a little card, you don't need to squeeze every little detail inside this little piece, but yet I still try.
Yeah. It just goes where it wants to go sometimes, and
Yeah,
I can't really
I know.
control it.
Yeah. But I guess that's the part of creating is processing that, like, there's just certain types of art and steps you take for certain projects, and you'll notice like a theme or just a consistency or a repetition. And sometimes you just gotta go with it. You gotta trust your gut. Just let it just let it happen.
Yeah, I think that's the value in creating daily too, is in consistency of
Mhm.
just making over and over, and then you find your style through that. I know you'll see people say that a lot, and until you actually sit down and do it, I feel like it is really important. It is a really important step in creating and not
Yes.
getting too hung up.
My wonder is, yes, consistency and daily and stuff like that, but for me, my issue is not necessarily sitting down and creating every day. It's creating the same medium. And I feel like when I create with different mediums, I have a different style in each medium. So
Oh, yeah.
it's never the same across the board. It's like if I have wood burning, it's going to completely look different than my acrylic paintings, right? But then I have my watercolors and they look completely different than my acrylics. I'm like, do I have a style? I don't know. I mean, maybe I have a style per medium.
Yeah, it's very relatable, and I feel that struggle as well, trying to tie everything together, right? Because I don't want to just pigeonhole myself,
Yeah.
and then you see the more successful accounts that everything is the same, and I don't
Yeah.
wanna do that, I just wanna be able to make whatever I want and let it be what it is, and per medium, if it differs
Yeah.
from the other, then I don't know, that I struggle with that as well.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned that some of the smaller pieces that you worked on, they weren't acrylic. They were actually like pencil and marker and stuff like that, right? Or you had like
Oh,
acrylic
yeah.
marker?
So alcohol ink and acrylic. So
Okay.
I'm still using acrylic,
Yeah.
but experimenting a lot with different mediums is actually really fun to me. And when I do get bored with making the same thing over and over, I
Yeah.
do what you've been doing, which is try something different and
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah, and I think it keeps us in that creative flow. I feel like sometimes if you're forced to create the same thing when you're not really mentally ready to do it or create it, you're just like, I need a different headspace. And so, like, by creating with a different medium, it allows that openness to just be like, okay, I'm going to do something new. I have no expectations for this because I'm learning and it's something new that I haven't really messed with. So it takes the pressure off a lot when creating because it's like, okay, I'm not by any means an expert in this medium, so I can just relax. I can just create and it comes out how it comes out. Sometimes I really don't like it, and sometimes I'm like, "That's not bad." You know?
Yeah.
And then there's these, like, epiphanies that happen. I'm like, "What if I try XYZ?" And I'm like, "Oh, that was really cool." And so you get kinda more in the experimental mindset as well, but when you're stuck with one medium, there's nothing wrong with that. However, on the days that you feel kind of like artist block, you're just like, "I don't know what I wanna create." So it kind of I feel like it's healthy to maybe gravitate away, do something else, and then come back to it. Cause then you're like, okay, now I have, I guess, technically fresh eyes. I've taken a break. I can come back and still create within the same medium, the same style, but have a little bit more, I don't know, variety or open mindedness of just creating versus being so like locked in into this like little box that you've kind of created for yourself. And I don't think it's necessarily like a bad thing to be in a box to create, the stuff. Like if it's your style and you enjoy it, that's great. But I also believe that, we're really hard on ourselves as artists. I feel like we put these expectations on ourselves that it needs to be just a masterpiece every single time, and it's just sometimes we're like, "Just need to relax and go do something fun and childlike and then come back to this."
Yeah, I think that most of the learning happens when you experiment and when you do a different medium, you find more about what you like and what you dislike, and
Yes.
then you
Mhm.
take which parts maybe you felt like you messed up, but you've discovered something
Yeah.
within that process
Mhm.
that you can use on the next piece, and I think that that part is really valuable in trying new
Oh,
medium.
yeah. Well, and like you said, kinda taking the things that you like about something and then incorporating it with other things that you like, removing all the stuff that you don't really care for, right? So, for example, I started learning block printing last year. But then I was also doing watercolor. So I had this idea. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do like a backsplash of watercolor and then do the block print on top." And I've never really seen it done like that. And I was like, "Ooh, let's try it." And it ended up turning out pretty cool. And I was like, "See, I would have never known that if I just retained within my watercolor bubble, or just my block printing bubble. But the fact that I did both, I was like, maybe I can mix those. And then it becomes kind of a mixed media project. And you're like, either it works or it doesn't. But this one happened to work. And that was cool."
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's how you do find your style is by trying different things and then sort of
Yeah.
mashing it all together.
Yeah, absolutely. You're like, "Okay, I like a little bit of this, a little bit of that."
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about kinda where you're at in your creative journey. Are you more of a, like, passion hobbyist? Is it something that you want to be full-time? Is it full-time already? And if it is, how are you taking those steps to make that happen?
So I actually, in October, I left my 11-year corporate job
Mm.
to pursue art full time. It's always been something that I've wanted to do. It's always been the goal. I
Yeah.
just thought that it would happen later. So this was actually a pleasant surprise that I was able to do this and pursue my dream. I would say I probably worked for a good 2 years with the idea that I would be starting to go to markets
Oh,
to
okay. Yeah.
see, how what the response was to my art because I do feel like it is really difficult online to gauge the demand, the interest, and if you're trying to make it a full-time job, it's not always lucrative. And so I started my Etsy. I would love to have my own website someday. That is sort of like a
Oh,
later
okay.
project, but just to start out because Etsy, it has the market.
Yeah.
I decided to start there and then do in-person markets as well. My community, which I sort of just jumped in, which was a little bit scary,
Yeah.
but I started in November, and because November is right around the holidays, I was able to actually have a very good experience,
That's
and
good.
yeah, it was really fun, and then I did a couple, Christmas markets. I just did one in February for Valentine's Day, which was the most successful market I've ever been to, and
Good.
I didn't have enough product, so I was, like, a little bit overwhelmed, and it was really fun, but at the
Yeah.
same time, after the markets, I get a little bit exhausted, so I have to
Yeah.
recoup and recover. The long-term goal is to eventually just do a large acrylic pieces, but for right now, I am just sort of getting out into the community and really enjoying meeting other people within the art community and being more involved in the art community with that goal in mind of once I have a space that can accommodate bigger art, I would love to just do full-time large acrylics, but that's
Yeah.
probably later on.
But that's
I
still cool to think about as a overall goal, like, future goal. That's good to have and have something that you're kind of leaning towards and aiming for. But I would assume that with the big pieces, you wanna be in kind of like a gallery setup, right? And have your kind of own exhibits and stuff.
Yeah, and there are places within my community that I can apply to do that. And I actually have there's a market coming up where they have an art gallery, so I will be putting my large acrylic pieces in that gallery.
Yeah.
And then later on, I do plan uh, to put them in other galleries, but it's been sort of a little bit overwhelming the response to my smaller pieces. So I go back and forth with it, because people really do, like you were saying, you really like the whole framed piece.
Oh, yeah, it's so cute.
And and it does make it more accessible to people, especially right now with the economy and just that joy of being able to share my art with people
Yeah.
and somebody can pick up the piece and say, You know what? I want this. I want to collect." It opens the door for people who maybe don't have hundreds of dollars to spend on art.
Yeah,
Mm.
right. But I do like the fact that you are trying to balance it out because I saw somewhere that you can do both. You could create the large pieces that might take a little bit more time, and then in between those large pieces, create the small pieces. That way you're kind of matching both energies, both groups. But I see where it could be a challenge, especially, being a one-man team.
Oh,
I
yeah.
you have to wear all the hats, I completely understand that, so it's a struggle because I experience similar feelings with my business because I'm like, "Oh, I wanna do all the things. And I'm like, but I only have two hands and I only have so much time in the day to get it all done. I'm like, so you have to kind of prioritize. And sometimes you're like, but I want all of them to be on the top priority.
Yeah.
Kind of realistic with the time that you have. And I mean, obviously having family and, other responsibilities too, that takes into play. And so I completely understand, but I think where you're at right now is a really good place to be. It's so exciting that you're doing the markets, you're networking, you're connecting with other artists, and you're connecting your art with people that might not be able to afford the larger pieces right now, but starting that community, you got to start somewhere, right? And I already know that, well, we met on Instagram, but I already consider you a friend. So it's like, it's one of those things now that I've been seeing your art for quite some time now. And I've seen the progression and the changes. And I guess what I'm trying to say is for me, knowing that and seeing that change and seeing that growth and seeing your post, it goes a really long way for just as far as social media presence too, because now mentally, without even the podcast interview, I feel like I know you. I feel like I've been part of this journey and this progression. So my thinking is personally, and I have a feeling that other people would feel the same way too, is that I want a little piece now, but I am definitely wanting a bigger piece later. So
Aw.
it's like starting small so, you can get your people, and then you create these larger pieces and like, "Oh yeah, I'm holding out for that one." You know what I
Something
mean?
for everybody.
Yeah. So you can have a little of both, and obviously for the people that can afford, like you said, the larger pieces, they can still enjoy your art in a smaller way. And I think that's part of growing, is allowing access to your art in many forms than just the one. So I think it's a good thing. I think you're in a good place. It might seem overwhelming right now, but I feel like you are taking the right steps to go to where you want to be. And with the gallery, that's so exciting. I mean, you already have, I mean, how many pieces do you have right now as far as big ones? Cuz I know you have at least 4 or 5 cuz I've seen them on your page, right? And
Yeah, I
so
had 12. I sold, well, some of those within that set, the Flower Escape series,
Mhm,
which is my acrylic series, the most recent one that I finished. It took me forever to finish because I just take so much time on those. I
mhm,
did have 3 smaller pieces within that. They were 6 by 6, I believe. And so a couple of those sold, and then um I think it was one of the 12 by 12s, and then, like a 9 by 14 that sold. So it is still the smaller pieces that are, not as expensive, right?
mhm.
But I'm not in a place where I need to sell my big stuff. So
Yeah.
that's the other part, is pricing things. And that I find is the hardest part of this journey is
Mhm,
pricing things. But having the large selection of sizes, I feel like I can accommodate everybody. And that has been the really fun part of going out into the community, is just talking to people about, the little tiny pieces. And those, some of the markets, those fly off the shelf and I'm always surprised. And then you'll have some markets where only the landscapes sell. And but it has been really fun having conversations. And I am very much an introverted person, but I this year one of my goals was to push myself and get out more and talk to, because I did miss, I was a remote worker.
yeah.
And so for the past 5 years, I feel like I was really missing that sense of community and connecting with people within the art community. I'm lucky to live in a place where the art is thriving in this area, and there are so many amazing people to talk to and meet. They've been so kind and accommodating, and I've
That's good.
it is a little intimidating,
Yeah.
but
I mean, I think anything new and out of, the ordinary is a little nerve-wracking, but that's good that you've kind of made a point to do that for yourself, because I know that, like, I have extrovert and introvert qualities. I can have a conversation when need be, but more times than not, I'm kind of more introverted. I do have, I don't know, extrovert qualities, but they only pop out every now and again. And so I completely understand when you mentioned that in between events or markets is that you have to kind of recuperate and recharge because it does take a lot. As fun as it is and meet new people and have these great unique conversations and grow your community, there is a part of us as introverts that are just like, okay, I need to take a breath. I need to just be by myself and just create.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do value, I think when I first started, I really pushed hard on my online community, and I'm really glad, like, I'm so grateful for you and all of the people I've met online who have been so supportive, because it is hard to put yourself out there
Yeah.
in person, and then, if you meet people and they don't follow you or whatever, and you're just like, "Oh, no, did they not like me?" But,
Yeah.
I feel like I have made some incredible friends on Instagram and, Threads, meeting you, and I know you know who our main circle of friends is, and
Yeah.
just, they've been so supportive, so I feel like there's value on both ends. I'm just grateful that anybody ever wants to own a piece of my art or
Oh, I
to buy
know.
a piece of something you created with your hands, you know?
Definitely. Yeah, and it connects to them somehow, and you're like, "Oh, that feels so good to me because it connected to me, but now it connects to someone completely different, maybe for a different reason, but it still connects with them, and it's just such a good feeling." But it brings me to wanna ask, with that said, I mean, how do you decide how to price your work? Because that's a huge conversation between artists and creatives, is that pricing your work is hard because I'm like, I'm just happy someone likes it and wants it on their wall. Like I know I should charge more, but like part of me is like, I'm just happy you want it. Like you can
Yeah.
have it.
Yeah, it's definitely tricky. I mean, I'm on Etsy, so I'm looking at prices of equivalent
Oh,
work all the time.
yeah.
And then at the markets, you sort of, you can see how other people are pricing and make sure you're not just totally out of range. My mindset right now is to make it affordable for other people to enjoy it at this point in my journey.
Mhm.
And my husband's always like, "Oh, you're not charging enough," but I think right now I'm just trying to gather those, the people who are interested in my art, and then
Yeah.
later on as I grow, I can always look at the prices. But it is difficult with acrylics to price because of all of the time that you do put, like, the bigger pieces.
Mhm.
I don't wanna devalue myself.
Right.
Um, but again, I am in a place where I don't have to sell those, so
Yeah.
I do really enjoy having the different. I've got, like, the mini prints and then the originals and slightly larger version, and then I've had people come to me that want me to make something even bigger, and I'm just like, "Oh, my printer can't accommodate your request, I'm so sorry." Which it's hard, but it does get you thinking bigger, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, that's the struggle that I have is, like, do I go bigger? It costs more money, it takes more supplies. Uh,
True, true. So then the price goes up naturally
yeah,
because of the resources that it takes to create a larger piece.
and more time.
Yeah, that too, and it's worth more. I mean, in the sense, just because, time, effort, is just all of it goes into it, and so it makes me wonder, so you print everything at home then? Have you
Yeah.
thought about doing, like, a third-party service printing thing for your larger pieces? Or I guess the between the small and the super large, like, kinda the medium area?
I have and I could, but I actually really enjoy the process of being able to. I've enjoyed learning how to do it and how I want it packaged. I think that the volume right now is enough to where I can just do it on my own, but yeah, maybe later on down the line I may have to. it would require further investigation because I have found the exact paper that I like and the frames that I've chosen for those prints and the
Yeah.
packaging that I appreciate for a particular type of art.
Yeah. Well, and that's
It
so true. I mean, that's part of the uniqueness of you and your brand and your art is that you get to pick and choose kind of how it is presented. And when you start bringing in third party services, a lot of that gets missed or slipped through the cracks. And so it's not as much of a experience when you open the piece for the first time, or unpackage it. And so I can see where the enjoyment sticks with that for sure.
Yeah, I have really enjoyed packaging and sort of uh, being in charge of that. You
Yeah.
can write a little thank you note and the
Yeah.
way that you
And
package
the little tissue
something.
paper and the
Yeah,
sticker, it's great. Yeah, I love
yeah,
that aspect of it too. And I even enjoy watching videos of people packaging their product or their work. I watch those type of videos like all the time. I'm like, this is so satisfying. They put like a little bookmark, they put like little stickers, and they like make it look all pretty and then package it up. I'm like, this is so great. Small companies or family owned companies is that it's unique and it has that touch that just big companies and corporations just don't have. So
absolutely.
yeah. So 11 years corporate, like, I'm just gonna go back to that real quick because that's crazy.
Yeah, well, life takes you on journeys. I went to school to be an art educator and I ended up not getting my credential
Mhm.
because I decided I just want to make art. And while I do enjoy teaching others certain things, I just couldn't see myself going full on into teaching because I just want to make art. You know what? There's a lot of things that I learned working in corporate, and it's funny now. I am taking the good parts of it, and actually, some of the connections that I've made, they've expressed appreciation for how professional I am, and
Yeah.
it's sort of like this mode that as an artist, I'm losing some of the corporate professional stuff, but
Mhm.
I'm keeping the good parts of it
Good.
that I can use, and I am grateful for my corporate journey. But I think it really has been a struggle. It was a struggle for me because I am so much of an artist that the whole time I was just thinking like, Man, I just want to be an artist." I went to school for it and it is hard because being an artist is not looked at as something that is you're nodding your head like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely." I think
Yeah.
everybody who is absolutely an artist knows the
The
struggle and
struggles, yeah.
not being able to go full time as an artist. But now I feel like before I was looking forward to the weekends, right? Where I
Yeah.
could have the time to create and have more time to put into my art. Now, every morning I wake up, I'm excited to start
Yeah.
work. And I'm like, "Oh no, it's the weekend. I got to do other stuff." And so
Yeah.
it's sort of shifted. It's been a really interesting shift.
Yeah.
And yes, I appreciate the corporate world and what it taught me, but I am absolutely more excited to be an artist and
Yeah.
finding a lot of value in just it was October. It's
Yes.
March now. It's been about
Yeah.
6 months and
Crazy.
it is still an adjustment. It is
Oh, yeah.
interesting to go through that process of like getting out of the mindset that I was in and moving full time into being an artist,
Yeah.
and learning how to navigate how I spend my time. I'm also a mother too, so
Yeah.
it allows me more time to spend with my son and be involved with him and his life right now is very important. I am very happy with my choice. It is a difficult choice in that it's not as what is the word that I'm looking for, Devin?
Consistent,
Yeah, it's not as consistent, obviously, financially,
and
but
promised. Yeah.
my state of wellness is much better and happiness.
Yeah.
w- which right now, with the world the way that it is, I think that we need a little bit more happy, whimsy, and overall looking more towards what's going to benefit me in the future, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I mean, everything that you said, that's why I just kept nodding my head because I was like, yes to all of it. Because, I mean, even, I mean, 6 months, it doesn't seem like a lot in the grand scheme of things, but it is. I mean, it's a huge step. And when you told me for the first time, I was like so excited for you. I was like, oh my God, yes, do
Oh,
it. Like, if you have that like inkling in your body that you feel like this is what you need in your life, like, do it. Because I've been doing this for a year and a couple months, right? No, actually, it's actually a year and 4 months, almost a year and a half now that I've been trying to, like, work this business and like you said, find the time and delegate and wear all the hats and stuff like that. It's a process. And so even with all that time on my belt now officially, I still feel like there's a lot I'm still learning. There's still a lot that I'm, like, adjusting and being like, "Okay, that didn't work. I need to shift something. This is not working." But this was great. But just being able to have that opportunity to even do it, I'm so incredibly thankful. I'm just like, "Oh my god, I get to wake up and I get to work on my podcast. I get to paint for my day, and it's actually considered work." And I was the same way. I was in and out of retail to customer service to just a bunch of different jobs, and it wasn't the same job for 11 years, but I was back and forth between jobs for a long time because I was never truly satisfied or happy with my environment, and it was always stressful. I was always getting up in the morning, I'm like, "Do I really gotta do this?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do. I gotta pay the bills and all that." And it just became to a point where I was like, "I'm tired of putting this off. I don't wanna wait until I am in my retirement years to be able to do what I love doing." And I've seen people do it, so if they can do it, I can do it too. I might not be doing exactly what they're doing and trying to make it my own, but I still am gonna try my hardest not to let that affect me and my mindset. I'm still gonna try to push forward and there's gonna be bumps and bruises along the way, but I would so rather take that over spending another 10, 20 years in the corporate or customer service realm where I don't feel like my skills are utilized the way that they really could be. And just for us as creatives, we need to shine. We need to explore. We need to experiment. We need to create. And if we can't create, there's a part of us missing and we feel it on a day-to-day basis. So when we get to create, we're like, "Oh, okay, this is home. This is where I feel normal."
absolutely.
So,
Yep.
yeah. It's crazy because when you're in it, when you're working either the 9 to 5 or whatever you wanna call it, it's scary because 'cause you're like, "Should I take the leap? I don't know. I want to so bad, but, like, there's so many variables that you can't control." And you're right, there's a lot of question on whether artists, is it a real job, et cetera. It's not really taken seriously. We're getting, I think, better as a community and especially trying to share our work online and stuff like that. I think it's becoming more, what's the word I'm looking for? Accepted, I guess. But compared to the States versus like Europe, I mean, the States, we're here to grind. We're here to work and work and work and work and work. And I feel like when I even just visited and vacationed in Italy, I mean, they took an hour and a half to 2 hour lunch just to be with their family and just to relax and to create and whatever they wanted to do. And then they mosey back on to work and work their regular hours. But they were so much happier. They were so much relaxed and they were just, I don't know, there was just something about it. I was like, "I could live here."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and when I come back here, everybody's go, 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 get things done immediately right now, and everything
It's
has to
too
be
much.
perfect. And it's just a different environment. And I feel like sometimes as a creative, we all are just not really meant for the environment that we have been forced into, a little bit. And it's hard. I mean, what do you do? It's not like we all could just move to Europe. I mean, like,
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's a process and stuff, but we try to make it work. And what I think pulls us together and keeps us going is the community. Having people like you and our friend group online, like, I've never seen or met you in person, but I still feel like I know you, and I still feel like we're gonna be there for each other throughout this art creative journey. That I'm like, yeah, these are the reasons why I want to keep going. These are the reasons why it makes sense and that it's worth it, and that I don't question or doubt my decision in this matter, because I'm like, I know in my heart it was the right decision because of all that was said and done in the last year and a half. I'm like, I don't know what I would have turned into or what would have become of me in the last year if I didn't, Like, I would have probably just become this, like, I don't know, unfazed person that just kind of wakes up, goes to work, comes back, eats dinner, go to bed, wake up, do it again. It's just like,
Mhm.
who wants to do that for, I don't know, 60, 70 years of their life?
Yeah.
I mean, especially now, retiring is a lot harder. Everything's more expensive. I'm like, so I'm gonna be 80 and then I won't be able to do half the things I want to do. And I don't want to wait that long. I don't want to wait
Yeah.
that long.
And I think you really nailed it with saying, if they can do it, I can do it. And I've absolutely had that thought in my head so many times. And without people like you, Devin, pursuing your dreams and showing people that it is possible, you never know who's watching and wanting that dream for themselves as well.
Yeah.
And how boring would it be if everybody was only
Oh, I know.
just doing corporate? I
Oh, I
mean,
know.
entertainment and movies and music and art and the joys in life, right? I think are so important, and we have to show. That was also part of it, was I wanted to show my son that you can live out your dreams. It
Yeah.
is important to me to let him see that it is possible, you know?
Yeah. I
Um,
think that's super huge. I mean, our kids nowadays, I'm hoping that they know it is possible, and having parents like yourself taking that step, it just shows him that, hey, my mom is doing what she loves and she's happy, and that makes it okay that I can do the same, in whatever aspect or endeavor that he chooses to want in his life. And seeing that as a possibility, I don't know, it's different when you see it as a kid, cuz I've had both. I've seen my dad, he owns his business, and he's owned it since I was, before I was born, and so he's able to pursue his passion and do what he loves. But then on the other hand, my mom, she went into accounting, which she enjoyed it, but, like, it wasn't what she was meant to do. It's not what she wanted to do, but she did it to keep food on the table because, as parents and as adults, we have certain responsibilities that we have to do whether we like it or not. And so I've seen both aspects, and I've seen the difference and the overall feeling, the emotion, the passion, it's so different when you get to choose what you wanna do and you love what you do versus what you're forced to do just because you have to do it. And so it's a huge wake-up call, and you start to have those doubts when you grow up that it's like, "Is it possible? I don't know," And so when you can see the people in your life, the adults in your life, the inspiration, the what's the word I'm looking for? The people you look up to, they doing what they love and making it happen. I think it confirms and solidifies that it's okay for them to do it too. And less question, less doubt, and I think that's what we need is just encouragement versus questioning and being like, "Are you sure? I don't know if that's a good idea."
It
No.
is hard to take the leap too, and you've been doing it for a year, so you know the struggles and then you think to yourself, well, where would I be if I had started this 10 years ago? But I think
Oh, I know.
me turning 40 this year, I think was a really big.
Yeah.
I'm 40 now, so I'm like, okay, if I never do this, I'm gonna be so angry at myself
Yeah.
later for not having tried, you know?
Yeah, what's that saying that you regret more of what you didn't do than what you did do?
Yeah.
Because
And
it's
I
like,
don't want to do that.
yeah, I'm the same way. I kinda had that same epiphany that I was just like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can do it for another 10, 20 years. Like, I don't wanna regret that I waited. I mean, I already regret a little bit that I didn't start sooner, like you said, but I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
"Okay, I don't wanna make that regret even bigger." And so I'm like, "Better late than never. Let's just do it." It's like,
Yeah,
we got one life. How are we gonna spend it? And I definitely don't wanna spend it at a job that I don't truly enjoy or feel passionate about.
right. Yeah. And you have to start somewhere. So I
Yeah,
think that is part of the just putting in that hard work for I would say probably 2 years I thought about it before I made the leap.
yeah. So, I would say besides yourself, because you are your biggest motivator in making this jump, who else would be your inspiration and your cheerleader to keep going and supporting you in this creative journey? I would assume, your family, your son and your husband.
Yes, absolutely. My son and my husband first and foremost. It has been something just innately inside of me that I've wanted to do since I was a little girl. And in school, I had some really incredible mentors that showed me the art
Mm.
life. And sadly, some of them have passed, but I know when I decided I didn't want to get my credential, some of them were like, well, are you coming back to get your master's? So it's like that I have that pull of wanting to go back and be surrounded by those people who inspired me,
Yeah.
initially to be an artist and um, just living that art life. I think I don't know what it is. It's just inside of me. I've always wanted to be an artist. So I know you probably feel it too. It's just that pull of like I'm
Yeah.
not happy in other places. I just want to be an artist.
Yeah. Well, and there's times where I was like, maybe art's just a hobby, right? And I tried to find like different jobs and stuff like that, and I just felt so restricted. I felt like even my creative mindset of trying to improve certain situations in the I don't know, the job setting that I was at the time. And it was just so I don't know. I don't wanna say closed-minded for every company that I worked for, but there were a few that were just like they were so set in their ways. There was no room for improvement. There was no room for growth, and I was just like, "I can't do this." Not to be silly, but I need to spread my wings. Like, I can't do that in this setting, and you're restricting me from being able to go to my full potential, and not in a cocky, confident way. It was just more of like, I need to find a place where I feel like my skills are useful, they help people. I feel like I have a purpose instead of just kind of going in and just phasing out whatever happened that day. And I don't even remember what happened last week, let alone 2 months ago. I, I don't want that. I want to remember what I did. I want to be proud of what I did. And right now I don't feel that way. So I'm like, something has to change. Cause like every time I worked a job that it was just like I felt kind of dead inside. And I was just like, I don't like this at all. like,
Yeah, I think seeing other people successful of course, you always see on the internet,
Yeah.
which is hard,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
because you're like, back around hitting that point again that you said, "If they can do it, I can do it,"
Yeah.
right? And I think that's really important to tell yourself. I think there's been times where I maybe only had one person behind, just rooting for me. Sometimes that's all it takes is having that one person who believes in you, that one
Yeah.
person who can see that you have the potential and you just need to keep going. And you were talking about inspirations, uh, and I guess I'm just inspired by, honestly, by nature and
Yeah.
being outside. It makes me want to make art. It makes me feel more connected to the universe, I guess, to be cheesy about it.
Yeah, and I would say most of my inspiration comes from nature too, so I completely agree. It's not cheesy. It's cool.
And I think as we grow older,
Yeah.
needing that connection with the outside world and not being so connected to our phones, it is a balance, right? Like,
Yeah.
you can get
Yeah.
really sucked into being on social media and online, and I think what has really grounded me lately has been being outside in nature and studying insects and studying the local native plants and pollinators and
Yeah.
beneficial insects and all of those things that it's just more fascinating to me.
Oh,
Maybe it's boring as an adult, like, how people say, "Oh, I became a bird watcher in my old age." Like, those things are starting to become more interesting to me as we see all of the chaos of too much screen time, and which
yeah.
is a huge thing with my son, right? Like, we have to be
Oh,
very
yeah.
mindful about how much screen time he has, and just my biggest inspiration, I would say, is nature.
Yeah.
So
No, that's a good one. And it's so funny that you mentioned that because I feel like the older we get, the more we understand those bird watchers, you know what I mean? Like, it's
Yes.
just one of those things, it's like, we gotta go out in nature and touch grass, man, because like,
Yes.
we're cooped up for too long. I mean, as as a race, we didn't start with houses and built structures. We lived outside. So like obviously we need that connection and we're meant to connect with the earth, whether that be walking in it, creating it, it's we need that connection. And I feel like we're a lot happier when we are connected with the earth in some sort of fashion. And that's why nature walks are super important. And like just being outside and hearing nature sounds too is a huge benefit. I don't have like the facts or, specifics in front of me, but I know that they make huge drastic changes within your body. Like your body is meant to connect with nature. And so for us as humans being cooped up inside, naturally we're like we gravitate back to nature because it makes us feel good and it makes us feel kind of normal because that's where we're kind of meant to spend most of our time. And now as a society we've been kind of just forced indoors, and that's why going to the park or like you said researching bugs and leaves and landscapes and stuff like that, it's
For me, it makes me just feel more grounded. I know
yeah.
that's also very cliche, but I feel better as a person, you know? I don't know, there's so much emphasis on technology right now that I
Yeah.
sometimes just wanna run away. And I just
Well,
wanna be with nature, you know?
yeah, I mean, technically, I did run away from social media for the last 3 or 4 months now,
I
and it
noticed
wasn't
that.
until, like, a couple days ago that I was like, "Alright, I guess I'll post again," but, like, I'm not taking it nearly as seriously as, like, last year, and what I mean by that is it's not that it's a bad thing, like, it was the way that I was able to connect with you and so many other people, so it social media used in the right way, I guess, is a good thing. Like you can connect with people, you can really explore and get inspired. But as long as there's that balance of, okay, I've connected, but now I need to take that connection and channel it into something either natural or creative or whatever. But a lot of us, we just scroll and that's where we lose ourselves a little bit. So it's like, it still can be a very useful tool. It's just the way that we use it sometimes gets lost. in translation. And I think that I want to be on social media consistently, of course, because it helps, your brand and your business and stuff like that, but at a limited use, so like right now I'm trying to get back into the familiarity of just posting daily, but I also have a restriction on my phone that says, hey, you've been on here more than 30 minutes. You need to get off. Sometimes I listen to it, sometimes I don't.
That's great though.
But like I'm trying to get into a regular routine that when that thing pops up, I'm like, okay, I'm done. Like I've
Yeah.
spent my 30 minutes a day. That's all I need. I enough to make a post, to interact with other people, maybe a couple things to inspire me or, laugh at or whatever, and then be done. And then take that energy and channel it into actually
The art.
creating something.
Yes. Yeah. It is a hard struggle. And the social media, your relationship with it, right? That's also really hard as a business owner
Yeah. Oh my
because you
god.
have to, and that is my biggest struggle is with marketing. I just want to make art. I mean, I've said it probably 5 times in this podcast.
But it's because we do. We just want to make
I just
art.
want to make art. Yeah. So it is hard owning your own business
Yeah.
and promoting yourself and being
Wow.
the person who wears all the hats.
Mhm.
Um, and so during those times where I get very overwhelmed, I do find myself just like, I need to go back out into nature, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, definitely. I think you just said it, like, it's we just wanna make art, but we're in a day and age where we kinda have to do all the things. Back in the day when artists didn't have social media, they kind of depended on galleries to do the promotion for them, or they did it in other means of, like, brochures and other stuff, but, that was really kinda what they had. So, we do have the luxury of being able to promote or self-promote, I should say, um, with more resources now, which is nice, but at the same time, you have social media marketer, you have website designer, you have all of these positions that they actually have jobs for at companies. So, like, you're doing 20 different jobs and somehow have to find still time to create and have the mental capability to be like, yeah, I'm gonna just relax. But I'm like, I have to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. like, and honestly, so at the beginning of February, I got sick, like really sick. I was out for 2 weeks, and that was part of the reason why I didn't post either. But, or I even didn't post on my podcast because I didn't have a voice, so I couldn't record. So I completely missed the month of February. And I was like, it just was a wake up call because I was like, if I'm out, nothing gets done. I mean, who does the work? I do. So like if I'm out, sick or on vacation, none of that gets done. So like even though there are huge benefits of having your own business and being able to create, there are those logistics that you have to keep in mind when you want to take that leap because you got to be your own boss. You got to be the one that says you got to wake up at 9 a.m. You can't sleep in or 8 a.m., 7 a.m., whatever, and it's like, I got to stay up till 12. I got to stay up till 1, maybe an extra hour to get this done because it's not going to get done otherwise. So you have to make those hard decisions sometimes as a business owner that I don't think some people notice as like just, an outside observer. They're just like, "Oh, that's great," But I'm like,
Yeah.
"It is all great. It is all great." But there
It's a
are
lot of
things
hard work.
but it's hard. Like, there's a lot that goes into it that I think that people don't really put together. Some people, they're just like, "Oh, the tomato shows up at the grocery store," but they really don't know how it got there. Like
Yeah, it is, and I find that, when you tell people, "Oh, I'm gonna be a full-time artist," there's always that preconceived notion of like, "Oh, how nice," and I'm like, "No, it's a lot of work.
It's
We're
hard.
doing a lot of work, it's very hard." So, I have such a deep appreciation for business owners and,
Oh, yeah.
especially female-owned business owners because
Yeah.
it's hard,
Yeah.
hard out there.
Yeah, we're not just thinking one step ahead, we're thinking like 20 steps ahead. So,
Yeah.
like, kudos, props to all women business owners because
Shout out to the women business
we
owners.
got a lot going on. So, as we kind of mentioned, I want to touch a little bit more on it. You mentioned that you want to do bigger pieces. You mentioned that you do want a studio eventually, like a larger space. Besides those two things, are there any other future creative goals that you kind of want to lean into and do more moving forward?
I mean, I might go back to school and get my master's, I don't know. But
Yeah.
it's sort of hard because you see so many people not going to school. And I want to believe that there still is value in some of the older teachings and
Yeah.
just being around older professors who've been around for a long time, and
Yeah.
I sort of miss that and being in an environment where everybody's talking very seriously about art. Again, I haven't really had anything in a gallery at this point because I didn't get my master's and I don't know if I'm ready. I think being in front of people and talking about your art is required for that, right? Like to be in a gallery, and that is scary to me. I can do it. I mean, I'm doing it with you over a podcast, but to
Yeah.
be in front of people, um, talking in front of people, I feel like is something that I need to get better at, and possibly being in more galleries and just talking to people more about art.
Yeah, definitely. That makes a lot of sense. And I feel like I need to do the same. I'm just kind of self reflecting here. Go ahead.
I think the thing I do miss is the talking in depth about it, right? Like online, you'll get a like and a, oh, this looks great. But
Yeah.
it's that actual having a conversation and growing as an artist and learning how to talk about your art and why are you making it always is the biggest question. And of course, I go to this place of like, well, I'm doing it because it's for my well being and you
Yeah.
know, the innate desire to do it.
Yeah.
It probably exists in a lot of people. I think everybody's an artist deep down, but people are like, "Oh no, I can never." But it is something
No.
that I feel like everybody. It's just like anything else that you can learn. You practice on the piano every day, get better at being a musician. In my mind, being an artist is the same thing, and so I would probably say that I need more practice talking about my art and, being in front of people. So that, I guess, would be a long-term goal.
And to add on to that, I think a lot of people underestimate the word art because I feel like people, when I'm like, yeah, I'm an artist, they just automatically assume whatever, I don't know,
Craft.
yeah, craft or painting that you do, and that's fine. But there's art in everything. There's art in music, there's art in dancing, there's art in. So when I use the word artist, I'm using it very as like a very broad term. That's why I try to use creative more because creative kind of like allows that little like wiggle room. But I think people underestimate that like we are all creatives in some sort of fashion. Even if you're more like math enthusiast, you could still create formulas or create, or if you're a scientist, you still create stuff that way. Like, I just think that people underestimate how critical and how important art in our like world exists. I mean, without computers, without technology, without desks, without houses, I mean, that's all creation. I mean, so when people think, "Oh, I'm not an artist. I don't create." I'm like, "But we are meant to as humans. We create, we build, you know what I mean?" So I think that we need to start having the conversation of shifting that mindset of art just being like arts and crafts. You know what I mean? I feel like there's so much to it and people don't really take it seriously because they just have this like initial response to it based off of like I guess schooling. You have art class or whatever. But I mean, even in art, or school, you have what is it like home ec? You like create cooking classes and like there was like a photography class. That's art too, but they don't call it art. So it's just I don't know. I feel like we've kind of been conditioned to think that art is a certain thing. And I'm like,
It's like
"No."
an extra curricular
Yeah.
activity, but yeah, how boring would it be if you're scrolling and all you see is just I
Um,
feel like artists right now, especially, it is really hard because there's that feeling of like, well, should I be posting this as the world is in the state that it's in? But without it, I think you're just filled with doom and gloom, and art
yeah.
brings so much peace and happiness to many people. And even I had considered doing art therapy for a while,
Yeah.
uh, just because it does allow your brain to have a break and be completely focused on something. And I think, again, to circle back to the technology, I do think it is important for us to take breaks. And
I completely agree, and the breaks are important. Um,
you were taking a break, which I think is really good to
yeah.
take those breaks, you know? That's
And what's
also very
crazy
important.
is through that entire break, I was like, "Should I be taking this break?" But then by the end of it, I was like, I'm glad I took the break."
Yes, absolutely. I took a pretty long break before I came back, and it'll all be there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we put so much pressure on ourselves to have followers and likes and comments,
Yeah.
and it's all gonna be there when you get back.
Yeah, which reminds me, when you were talking about having more serious conversations about art versus just a like or a comment being like, "This is nice," I didn't really think about it in that point of view, but I absolutely love that because you're right. Back in college, we had like discussions about what we made. We had homework or whatever. We would go create, come back. We'd have a showing, like we'd have all of our pieces on the wall and we would discuss it. We would be like, this is why I did this. This is, how I did this kind of thing. And just really talked it through. And it just, I don't know, it really helped. So I'm kind of wondering if we could create something similar, like a movement on social media
Well,
to, to do the
yeah.
same thing. And I mean, it might not go crazy, but, like, even just personally, like, you have one person and then you talk about it with another and eventually it'll grow. But, like, between you and I will personally do better about actually interacting with artwork such as yours and my own and talking it through a little bit more, just being like, "Okay, what was the steps here? Like, let's actually talk about it versus just" you know what I mean? Because like, we don't always have the capability of going back to school. I mean, for one, if someone was just like, "So, if I paid for your schooling, would you go back?" 100% I would.
Yeah,
But, it's like money and time goes into that, but, like, if money wasn't an issue, I definitely would go back to school. I would. I think that there is still value in that environment and learning from professors that have been in real world situations and picking their brain and how to apply it to your situation and talking about art and being more around your people. You know what I mean? Like it's just a different mindset, a different conversation when you're in a room of artists versus a room that is of people that haven't really explored that aspect of themselves yet. You know what I mean? When I talk to someone that is really creatively influenced, like you and I, we can really talk and have a conversation. When I talk to someone that's like, I draw stick figures. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I
yeah.
don't know how to connect with you based off that. Like, if you were wanting to explore that and make stick figure animations, cool. You know what I mean? But like, if you are shutting down the idea of the possibility of creating more with your stick figures or whatever, then I'm like, I don't know, we're not really having a conversation now. You know what I mean? So I feel restricted. But when you're in a room full of creatives, there's just so much possibility. There's just so much you can talk about. That's why I'm like, I have to limit my podcast episodes to a certain amount of time because I'm like, we could just talk all day. I don't, I don't.
Yeah. That's how I feel when I go out to these markets now. It's like you'll actually have people come up who wanna talk, which is really nice. And I do think there's gonna be a bigger movement, at least towards analog and, just back to community, right? Because we've been detached and,
Yeah.
uh, on our computers for so long that I feel like people are craving that,
Yeah,
going back to wanting to have conversations about things that are meaningful to us. And
definitely.
like I've even had people come up to me at the market and say, "You made all of this?" Like like surprised, and I'm like, "Yes, with my hands, I did it all. I made every single piece." And because there is that skepticism of AI art, and I'm like,
Oh,
"No."
yeah.
And I've now brought some of my notebooks with me to show people, "No, I actually drew every single thing on
Yep.
this table." And it's sort of sad that people go to that place, right? That they're questioning whether or not you've actually created something,
Yeah. And
and that we feel we have to prove it.
yeah. Yeah,
So
which we're already trying to prove we're artists. Now we have this extra hurdle to be like, yeah, this was actually made by human hands. This wasn't generated in some computer server a million miles away. Like, I it's become somewhat of a challenge for us artists right now in this day and age that we have to compete with AI. I feel like that's kind of hard for artists right now because it's hard to take the leap. Not only are you taking the leap for yourself, for your happiness, for your well-being, for your business, for your family, but now you have to take that extra little effort to be like, okay, I can't let this AI bubble affect me. And I still have to create because now, like you said, more than ever, people are wanting to connect. And there's a part of that, more people are wanting human made artwork versus AI. Like it's becoming more valuable, I feel like, because it's like, oh, it's not digital, it's handmade. Like, so I
yeah.
feel like it's kind of increased its worth because it's made by hands. So I don't know. It's a huge conversation, and I feel like we could have a whole separate podcast episode just on that. But
Yep.
it's just the thought that like, yes, it's hard, but at the same time, it might be benefiting us to target the specific audience that is actually interested in handmade work, alone. And so it might be hard sometimes to prove yourself that it's like real, especially for digital artists, like digital painters and stuff. Now they're like, oh, it's AI. And it's like, no, 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 I actually drew all that up in Photoshop or whatever.
It's so hard. Digital art, I have so much respect for people. I've only touched on it a little bit, but and my knowledge of digital art is very minuscule, so I have a very big respect for people who put the time into it and make
Yeah.
things digitally,
Yeah.
because that is also another medium that you
Oh, it
have to
is.
learn.
It is absolutely. And I've done a little bit, I've touched a little bit, but actually, like, because I do more of the graphic design side than the actual like digital painting. And I've tried a couple of digital paintings. Let me tell you, it looks like a 2-year-old drew it because, like, I
Yeah.
just don't know the layering. I don't know the brushes. I'm like, this is all like out of my wheelhouse. I'm like, I have no idea.
Yep.
So
Yep.
props to them. But it is hard to compare and be like, is this AI or is this something that someone made? But I think that that's why it's so important not to be a perfectionist in what we create too, because what we create is human and the mistakes are allowing us to show that it's not digitized or, you know, computer based. So like if I make a mistake back then before AI, I was like, "Oh crap." That's I should have fixed that. But now I kind of have this mindset. I'm like, "Oh, it just makes it a little bit more unique. It looks a little bit more like me versus, computerized." So it's like
Yeah,
there's a
absolutely.
shift. There's a shift in mindset for that, I think.
And one thing I am really bad about too is I feel like there's this pressure to show that you've created something.
Oh,
And
no.
filming as an artist, the process videos, and half the time I'm just making art.
Yeah. 'Cause we're in
And
our
then
little bubble, we're in our zone, like, I'm not focused on having a camera here and a camera here, I'm locked in, I'm just
the
creating, like, I'm not.
yeah, that's the part I struggle with too, because 'cause I'm like, I just don't wanna be a content creator, but you sorta have to be. I
I
don't
know.
know.
I want to go back to one of the questions I kinda skipped over because we were talking about some other things, but where did your passion for art come from? Because you said you've been creative and passionate about art since you were little, right? So like what kind of steered you in that direction? Because I've been doing art since I could remember. I mean, coloring, any sort of drawing, painting became part of my high school experience and then went to college, so it just was always part of my life. So for you, how did it just blossom and grow into so much more?
So I used to watch PBS, Mark Kistler, The Imagination Station. I think that guy, and Bob Ross. Everybody knows Bob Ross. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
back in the day, we didn't have YouTube where you could just,
Yeah.
replay every single thing. And so Mark Kistler in The Imagination Station was probably the beginning of it, because
Yeah.
I would sit there with my little drawing pad and my pencil and I'd be ready to watch it.
Yeah.
And if you didn't pay attention, you'd miss a step. Um,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and
because
I
it
watched a couple of the videos. I was like, "Oh, this is cool." Like, I didn't watch a whole lot of, TV when I was young, but, I wish I would've at least saw that, like, because I feel like
yeah.
that would've helped me for sure.
And then Bob Ross, obviously everybody knows who Bob Ross is. And I sort of, during school, I would always be drawing. I remember this phase I went through, I drew Power Rangers and
Yeah.
I just wanted to draw, and
Yeah.
Rugrats,
Yeah.
all the shows that we used to
Oh,
watch.
yeah.
I probably grew up with TV a little bit more than I should have. Um, Classic millennial over here. But, yeah, I would say it started with that, and then from there, I had a high school class. I had a stained glass class that I took,
That's
which
fun.
was really cool that they offered stained glass in high school.
Yeah.
And then I also took a watercolor class in high school as well, that really sort of further sparked the passion.
Yeah.
And when I graduated, I decided I wanted to go and be an artist. I hated college to I just hated it until I got into my art classes. And then that was really I almost actually flunked out of college because of all of the other classes that they
Yeah,
require
or they
you to
call 'em, like,
take.
the gen eds or whatever they call 'em. Yeah.
I was on academic probation until I got into my art classes. So it was like, such a waste of, I mean, I guess now looking back, there's probably things I would appreciate more now as an adult, but
Yeah. I
I
don't
just don't
know,
think
there's just
we don't know at that age, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think we also don't really know what we want at that age either. I mean, I did technically go to art school. It was more digital because I was kinda taught, like, not to be a starving artist, so do something that you're gonna make money at, but it wasn't until I was past college, had worked a bunch of different companies, customer service and stuff, that I really wanted to stick with the traditional aspect, and I don't think I would have known that at that age, and I feel like if I would've waited a little bit, instead of just jumping right into something that I thought I needed to do, like kinda my plan B. I feel like my plan A would have been to go to school for traditional media, and the pottery and the painting and all of that stuff, but I didn't because there was just a certain mindset and perception of art back then that it was like, "Oh, you're gonna be struggling if you do traditional. You're gonna be
There's
struggling." And I'm
still
like,
that mindset.
yeah, and I'm like, "Screw it," you know? Like, yes, I'm technically a starving artist right now, but it's only because I waited this long to make it happen.
Yeah, it takes time too. I mean, I don't even know what I hate to say with this economy, but like it is rough right now. So I think in the in between times you just have to keep going,
Yeah.
keep creating.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that was the thing. I thought it was a hobby, and then people kept saying, like, "Well, I see you most happy when you create and when you're talking about art." And I'm like, you're right. I do, and I am. And it took me a minute, and I actually probably took those couple times that the people told me that it was when I felt most happy. Because sometimes, you kind of put it on the back burner and you're like, I do enjoy it, but, you know, is it really realistic and stuff like that? But people are like, you are so passionate. You light up when you talk about art. I think that's where you're meant to be. And
That's
I'm
your
like,
thing.
yeah, you're right. It is my thing.
Yeah, some people don't know, they
Yeah.
don't know what their thing is. So I feel like as an artist, it's if you know that that's what you want to be, you should probably do it.
So I guess along with just do it, is what other message would you say to someone just starting out? Your best words of advice?
For a creative, I would say that's just starting out that I think you said it earlier, is not treat every piece as like a masterpiece and keep going.
Yeah.
Don't give up. I think honestly, the more you post online, it is terrifying to put yourself out there, right? Like that is the biggest hurdle that I had to get through
Yeah.
was just post it. Don't worry so much about what people think, which is easier said than done, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Because you want everybody to like it.
of course, but I think I've gotten to a point now where I'm just like, I've done it so much that I just don't care anymore.
No,
I'm
that's
just
good
more
though.
concerned about making the actual art, like
Yeah,
setting aside the time every day to practice.
that's good. Yeah, and it should
Um,
be that way. It should. I just feel like at the beginning stages that you're more focused on people liking it than you liking it. And I'm like, "No, no, no. This is for you. If other people like it, that's just a bonus."
yeah, I think yeah, that is a very important point that you just said is liking what you're creating too, I think.
Mhm.
There's been so many times where I've gone through phases of my subject matter and what I'm putting out there. I've got some crazy art, right? Like the art that you don't show anybody
Yeah.
that I really do love. And I'm like, man, I would have to create a separate account for all of that because but you know what I mean?
At one point, I had, like, 3 or 4 Instagrams because I was like, "Should I?" And I'm like, "I can't manage 4 Instagrams. I can barely manage 1." So I gave up on it, but I was
Yeah. But I do think it's important to make those weird pieces, right? Get it out of your system, and the more you do it, the more you discover what it is that what you want to be painting and creating.
yeah. Well, and I think from what I noticed, it's a consistent outlook as a creative to make sure that you're still creating for you. So even if you do have a business and you're creating in a certain style, that's all good and that's great. But make sure that you're still taking time for yourself, that you're making things that you don't always have to show. Yes, show your work and stuff like that. Absolutely put your stuff out there. But for things that are just for you, don't feel required to show some of that stuff. Like I have my journal, and at one point I was showing my junk journal. I was showing, bits and pieces of it. But then some of it became more personal to me. And I was like, I don't want this out there. So like I kept it to me, and that's fine. And sometimes when I'm not feeling as like traditionally artistic just to paint something, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go to my junk journal and scrapbook a little bit. And that kind of gets me out of my head. And I come back and then share what, is part of my style or my business or whatever. But there's always those things that you can still create that are for you that you don't always have to show and always have to put out there into the world. They can just be yours. And I think that people underestimate that if you make it, you have to show it. And it's like, not always.
There's
Because,
value in both for sure.
yeah, because there would be times where even during my college years, is that I was like, "Oh, if I make this, is it worth showing? No, so I don't wanna make it." And I'm like, "No, no, 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 that's terrible, like, I wish I didn't think that way back then, but I did." And so there's a lot of pieces that are unmade now because of that mindset. I'm like, "Oh, I wish I woulda made it."
Yeah, well, yeah, and make the art for the sake of creating.
Yeah,
I think we touched on that a lot. So
yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, definitely check Alyssa out on her Instagram. It's actually Alyssa Snodgrass Art, and I'll put it in the description below. So it's easy to just click and go. But Alyssa, thank you so much for being on this interview with me. I like I said, as creatives, I feel like we could just talk all day.
Forever.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think now is the perfect time to take this connection and channel it into our artwork. So hopefully, whoever's listening is creating or will be creating.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time to talk to me, Devin. I appreciate you a lot.
Of course. And, as always, I think I kind of mentioned this in my other interview, so I'll mention it to you. I I want to create a series where we come back and check on the artists and see how they're doing. So I'd love to have you back onto the podcast and just talk more about art.
Yeah, yeah, it's always fun to talk about art.
Yeah, absolutely. We could talk about it all day. Okay, well, we're going to call it here. But again, check out her socials and her information in the description below. And I will catch you all later. Bye. What a meaningful conversation. I feel really grateful for this one, not just for the conversation itself, but for the connection. Alyssa is such a thoughtful artist, and it really shows in every part of what she creates. From the way she presents her smaller pieces in those beautiful vintage style frames to how she carefully packages each order before sending it off. There's so much intention and care behind everything she does, and it's something I really admire. And while we didn't get too deep into it this episode, she also recently created a butterfly series that is definitely worth checking out. I've linked all her information in the description so you can follow along and support her work. And if you're a creative who wants to share your story on Canvas and Conversations, I'd love to connect. Feel free to reach out through email and don't forget to follow or subscribe for more uplifting and encouraging content from a friend. Until next time, keep creating whatever way feels good to you. Goodbye for now.